Chapter 3. The soft morning light filtered through the classroom window curtains, creating wavy patterns on the desks. Léon, Élodie, Paul, and Léa settled into their seats, trying to hide their exhaustion. The short nights and ill-fitting jobs were starting to weigh heavily on them. Professor Roux entered the room with his usual authoritative stride. His piercing eyes immediately landed on the four friends, and he frowned. "Renard, Granier, Vasseur, Legrand, in my office. Now," he ordered, his voice as sharp as a knife. The students exchanged worried but obedient looks, standing up without a word. They followed the professor through the corridors to his office, a place that exuded order and discipline. The professor sat behind his desk, fixing them with a severe gaze. "I'm not going to beat around the bush," he began, his eyes fixed on them. "Your academic performance has dropped alarmingly. You fall asleep in class, and your grades are declining. This is unacceptable." Élodie, known for her straightforwardness, spoke up. "We're doing our best, sir, but we need to find ways to fund our trip to Manila." "That is no excuse to neglect your studies," Roux retorted. "I warn you, if I catch you sleeping in class again, I will not validate your year. Is that clear?" They nodded silently, feeling the weight of the threat. "Do you know what that means, Renard?" he added. Léon nodded again. He knew all too well. If he had to repeat a year, he would lose his scholarship, and without the means, he could no longer return to Palmaru. The professor sighed, softening his tone slightly. "You are young and acting without thinking. You have valuable skills that you are neglecting. Use them wisely." Léon raised an eyebrow, surprised by the slight change in tone. "What do you mean, sir?" He looked at them intensely before continuing. "Renard, you are an excellent football leader. Why not organize matches for the youth center? I know the mayor well, and I'm sure he would be happy to pay you for this initiative." Léon, surprised but grateful, nodded. "Thank you, sir. I hadn't thought of that." The professor then turned to Élodie. "Granier, you have significant technical knowledge. Create online fitness programs. My wife is very influential in her sports club. She can promote your services." Élodie blinked, surprised by this unexpected offer. "Thank you, Professor Roux." He looked at Paul, a hint of reproach in his eyes. "Vasseur, your strength is undeniable, but you must avoid exposing it to your temper. A temp agency is looking for stadium ushers to secure matches at the nearby stadium. Use your build wisely in a festive context." Paul, initially reluctant, felt a glimmer of hope. "I'll do my best, sir." Finally, he turned to Léa. "Legrand, if your friend Renard is not a good waiter, you might be. The local cafe customers are always generous with students. I have some contacts who could help you find a job with suitable hours." Léa smiled shyly, touched by the proposal. "Thank you very much, Professor Roux." The professor stood up, fixing them with his piercing gaze. "I don't do this out of the goodness of my heart, but because your lack of involvement in your studies is disappointing. Now disappear." The four friends left the office feeling a bit lighter, but with renewed determination. They met outside, discussing the new opportunities available to them. "Léon, you could clearly organize those football matches," said Élodie, excited by the idea. "And I'll start working on those online programs tonight." Paul nodded. "I'll call the temp agency. It can't be worse than what I've been through so far." Léa smiled, feeling a surge of confidence. "I'll try to get the waitress job. With a bit of luck, it will work out." They quickly got to work, each finding their place in these new roles. Léon dived into organizing football matches, contacting the mayor, and setting up training sessions for the youth at the community center. Élodie created coaching videos, using her knowledge to attract online clients. Paul presented himself at the temp agency and landed a job as a stadium usher, using his imposing build to good effect. Léa replaced Léon at the local cafe, and she felt at home thanks to the kindness of the customers. One evening, after a long day of work, they gathered around a table, sharing their experiences and laughing about the challenges and successes they had encountered. "You know," said Léon, a smile on his face, "I think Professor Roux really wanted to help us, even if he'll never admit it." Élodie nodded. "Maybe. Anyway, thanks to him, we're on the right track." Paul raised his glass. "To us, and to our trip to Manila." "To Manila," they replied in unison. The days grew longer, bringing with them a comforting warmth. The corridors of Palmaru resonated with a new energy as Léon, Élodie, Paul, and Léa found their rhythm in their new jobs. Professor Roux' advice had paid off, turning their initial challenges into fruitful opportunities. Léon had organized several football matches for the youth at the community center, each match attracting an enthusiastic crowd. The loud cheers of the spectators and the rhythmic sound of balls hitting the ground created an electrifying atmosphere. At the end of each match, the young players thanked him, their eyes shining with gratitude, reinforcing his sense of accomplishment. Élodie saw her online coaching programs gain popularity. She had designed varied sessions, from yoga to muscle-strengthening exercises, suitable for all levels. Positive feedback poured in, and her confidence grew. Thanks to Mrs. Roux' promotion, her services had become a reference in the region. Paul found his place as a stadium usher. His job allowed him to maintain order while developing his ability to manage conflict situations without resorting to violence. The matches went smoothly, and his colleagues appreciated his reassuring presence. Léa had completely overcome her shyness. The customers, charmed by her gentleness and sincere smile, left generous tips. She finally felt comfortable in this role, and each day spent at the cafe boosted her confidence. Every evening, the four friends met, often in the cafe where Léa worked. They shared their day's anecdotes, laughing at the funny moments and celebrating their small victories. These meetings became sacred rituals, a space where they could recharge and remember why they were working so hard. "You won't believe what happened today," began Léon one evening, a mischievous smile on his lips. One of the kids scored an amazing goal, and everyone carried him around the field in triumph. The mayor called it a magical moment for the neighborhood and offered to increase the number of slots for the youth. "One of my clients gave me the best compliment," announced Élodie proudly. "He said my sessions helped him overcome his back pain, and now he feels like a new man. It feels great to know we're making a difference." "And I managed to calm a fight without raising a single fist," added Paul, a glint of satisfaction in his eyes. "I used de-escalation techniques I learned in an online course." Léa smiled, her cheeks slightly rosy. "Today, a customer left me a huge tip just because I listened to him talk about his day. It made me realize how important it is to simply be there for others." Their savings were slowly accumulating, and with them, hope was growing. They were getting closer to their goal, each day adding a new brick to the structure of their dream. Their academic performance had also improved, and even Professor Roux noticed. "I see that some of you have a much better look," he declared one morning, his eyes sparkling with discreet satisfaction. "Keep it up, and you might just make up for your dismal start." These words, although spoken with his usual authoritative tone, resonated as a form of encouragement. The students felt supported, even if indirectly. Their success in their jobs only increased their motivation. The idea of the trip to Manila, once a distant dream, was becoming a tangible reality. Every penny saved, every smile exchanged, every challenge overcome brought them closer to the moment they could set foot on Philippine soil.